Every mixer has their own approach to mixing. On StudioVerse, there are many chains by some great mixers. My name is Yoad Nevo, I'm a mixer, and I've created around 100 mix blockchains for Studio Rack. I want to show you how to use these blockchains to get a mix up and running and sounding good in a very short amount of time. I'll show you how to do it in 3 songs: a modern pop track, a guitar-based rock track, and a piano-based track. My approach, which is based on many thousands of mixes, mainly on analog desks, where you're quite limited in what you can do because you have a few knobs and then you turn them and that's it. And I try to bring that approach to StudioVerse, where you have a few macros that do a lot. Rather than diving into endless lists of plugins and parameters, it's the important stuff that I bring forward, and you tweak it and you can move on to the next track and get the mix up and running very quickly. On this song we have quite a few tracks, but nevertheless I'm going to insert Studio Rack on each and every track of the mix. So I'm going to start with the stereo tracks. I'm going to insert Studio Rack on all the stereo tracks, and then I'm going to insert the mono version or mono to stereo version on all the mono tracks. So as you can see, even though I have about 30 or 40 instances, most of them are stereo, it doesn't show any load on the CPU. If I hit play and bypass or activate the plugins, there's no difference on the CPU meter. So I'm happy to insert them on all the tracks, and then I can really very quickly just browse through presets. So we're going to start with the kick. Let's solo the kick drum. It's quite thumpy, and I want to try to make it a little bit more deep. I'm going to search for my name, which will bring out all the presets, all the blockchains that I've created, and then I'm going to add kick. And now it gives me a list of different kick presets or chains that I've created. Let's try this boomy kick. I think that should work quite well, because here I'm already hearing the depth that I'm looking for. Now I can play with the tone, which is actually the formant of the kick, and I can make it hit in the higher range or the low range. Now of course this is a little bit too subby, so I have the low cut macro here, and for that I'm going to add a bit more treble. The compression will give it some punch, and I think I'm happy with that, and I can move on to the snare. Here I'm looking for, let's say, something with more impact, because the sound is quite long and I want to make it a little bit tight. So here I can make it shorter or longer. I quite like that. The compression will squash it a bit. I think I can find a better one. Let's see what we have. Let's go with this one. Yeah, I like that better. Now here I can add the drive. Which makes it more kind of, yeah, I'm kind of liking that. And that's it, I'm ready to move on. Okay, at this stage, I'm going to jump straight to the chorus vocals. These are layers, so I have them all grouped. So I'm gonna treat them as one. So I have the lead vocal group here. I have a preset or a chain called lead vocals. So it's already quite processed. Let's dial it down a bit. I'm using the exciter to bring up some highs in a controlled manner. Let's see if we need some more de-essing. And I can take the lows off a bit and add more presence. Now, just hit my line, you know I'm in. If the vibe's right, baby, you can count me in. Just a bit of reverb. I need more compression. Yeah, to make it a bit tighter. Let's hear it without. You know I'm down, just hit my line, you know I'm in. And with. If the vibe's right, baby, you can count me in. Sip a little rum, yeah. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Maybe I can increase the width a bit. I'm down, just hit my line, you know I'm in. If the yeah, that's nice in context. So remember that the rest of the tracks here are not really mixed, so it's kind of random, but I have the kick and the bass and the snare roughly where I want them to be, and then I'm adding the vocals just to see, or to hear rather, where I am with the song. And now we can move to the verse vocals. A sensational day, and so I have the hype tracks as well as the lead. I'm going to treat them as one thing. So I'm going to load the essential lead vocal preset. This should give me plenty to work with already. It's quite wide. I can ease off the reverb, add some presence. Now, I'm very particular about de-essing. I like it quite controlled. And we like the big bass for the and I can take the bass, the lows a little bit and increase the compression. So this will cut right through the mix. On a sensational day, and I shake it up and it all sprays while you shake it down with your big waist. So already the song is working quite quickly, and this is what I'm after. Later on, I'm going to work on the details, automation, make it more fine. But for now, I'm just going to look for the main elements. So let's see what those hi-hats, yeah, those could be treated a bit. So let's type in, I'm just going to type hi, and this will bring me to the hi-hat. So I'm going to try this chain. So here I have a lot of options. I can saturate the hi-hat to make them kind of more, almost like a shaker, which I think works on this song. I'm gonna make it less toppy, but I need more mid. That's nice, or more high mid rather. Some compression. Now the body, I don't need all the information there, so I'm just gonna dip it on these frequencies. A bit loud, and the vocals are a bit wet, so that's how I like to work, like go back and forth between different tracks and make sure that I have the vibe of the song. Yeah, this could be quite dry, maybe a bit more exciter, or even treble a bit. I can make the kick a bit more punchy by giving it a bit of presence. I can ease off the cut on the low mids to make it a bit more thumpy. So very quickly I have a song that is working essentially, and now I can concentrate on the other stuff. At this point, we can just move on to the next one. No city lights or a boss in sight. Worked all week and we're ready. Down gravel roads, bring something cold. And one or two pretty ladies. This is essentially a guitar song, so I'm going to concentrate on the guitars and get them kind of sounding good, because that's, to me, is the main thing. That's a nice baritone guitar. Let's go to some guitar blockchains. Let's go to the electric guitar chain. So that already is quite close. I'm just gonna take some of the lows off. Now let's see what the body, yeah, I like that. Let's see if we can give it some drive. Now it muddies it up. We don't need that. A little bit less reverb, maybe a bit more compression, because this kind of holds the song. That's the main riff. And we can move on to the second track. So that's more like a kind of a lead track or muted guitar. I know this is a lead guitar, but there's some elements, yeah, that I like on this chain. One is the width, and I'm gonna give it some bite. Yeah, I don't need it as smooth, so I'm gonna dial it down. And I think we're good to go. Let's move on to the next one. Yeah, here we need some brightness and some attitude. Let's go for the electric guitar from the Essential kind of bundle of presets. I need the treble quite up there and the presence. I can try some delay just to give it some depth. That's nice. And with the expander, I can make it a bit tighter, and I'm happy with that. Let's listen to these 3 guitar tracks together. And now if I bypass the studio rack and activate it, yeah, I think that the baritone guitar is a little bit too heavy. So I can dial down the low frequencies. Yeah, and already, so now you can hear that everything is really unmixed, but the guitars kind of shine. So now we can go back and look at the drums and the other tracks. I'm gonna borrow this new disco kick drum chain, because why not? A bit of low. Actually, it works. So without that, it's kind of sloppy. Gives it a bit of punch. And let's go for the snare. I like that. I don't think it needs, let's see what the claps. Yeah, the clap needs a bit of kind of attitude. So I'm gonna type drums, and I'm gonna go for the drum group, even though it's a single track, but it doesn't really matter because it gives me the tools I need. Let's see if I can add some reverb, some presence, and I don't need the low end really, and I need loads of compression. Not as much, but that should work. And now there's a drum loop here, not this one, this one. On this one, the hi-hat is quite sharp. I think that this will work. So here I don't need any punch. Yeah, because I want to get more out of the kick and snare. So I want the body. And the saturation will address the hi-hat first and kind of squash them, which will bring up the kick and snare. So before we listen to the whole thing, let's just treat the bass quickly. Again, just some attitude. Let's find the bass track here. That's nice, but let's give it more attitude. We need, yeah, I like that. So let's dial down the distortion and bring the saturation up a bit. With the distortion, we definitely need more lows here. The rest is fine. Let's hear the difference. Yeah, this harmonics, the distortion stuff, when you solo it, it may sound too aggressive or too much, but in context, I think it will work quite nicely. Let's listen to the guitars, drums, and bass. Yeah, guitars are a bit loud. Yeah, and we can move on to the vocals.
No city lights or a boss in sight. Worked all week and we're ready. Down gravel roads bring something.
So let's go to the lead vocal chain.
No city lights or a boss in sight. Worked all week and we're ready. Down gravel roads bring something
presence.
cold. And one or two pretty
It's already
ladies.
kind of there.
This here cops Louisiana
without.
hot. It'll burn the stress away, baby. We're sending Friday off for
So let's unsolo, let's see.
no city lights or a boss in sight. Worked all week and we're
So if I bypass
down gravel roads.
the vocals are really under.
One or two pretty ladies. This here cops Louisiana hot. It'll burn the stress.
This is now about automation, writing, kind of tweaking and stuff, but the song works, and that's what I'm after. This is what blockchains is all about.
You know everything I can see, all the things that cause my pain. Just have my number on it.
This is a piano-based song, so I'm gonna start with the piano because that's the most important track. So I'm gonna type Yoad piano, and that will bring up all the presets, all the chains that are aimed at pianos. This is a bright piano preset. Let's load it. I like that because it has, this is the presence, which brings the kind of hammers. Not too much because it's kind of a ballad. Yeah, that's already sounding good. Let's bypass. Makes it a bit louder. We can just, for a fair comparison. Let's go to the lead vocal.
You know everything I can see, all the things that cause
Doesn't need
my
too much de-essing.
pain.
It needs some presence
Just have my number
and more
on
compression,
the screen.
which brings it
Let
forward.
it begin again.
So that already, since it's a piano song, that should work.
You know everything I can see, all the things that cause my pain. Just have my number on the screen and let it begin again.
Now I can move to the bass. That should be interesting because that's fretless bass, which usually doesn't have too much sustain. So I'm going to try to make it present. So let me look for some bass chains. And I'm gonna go for bass guitar. Actually, I'm gonna go for synth bass because that will give me some effects as well. So I'm gonna use the wide just kind of doubler, chorusy stuff. The smooth macro is basically a compression which brings out the sustained part of the bass. I think that should work.
You know everything I can see, all the things that cause
More mid.
my bed. Just type my number on your screen and let it begin again.
Okay, and let's work on the strings a little bit. I have the strings grouped. So, I'm gonna look for strings. And I have a strings group chain. So it loads with some reverb to give it some width. Let's see what the vibe does for the track. That's nice. I like some mid on my strings. It sounds like a cooking program sort of thing to say, but it's true.
To take you out of my life.
Without,
But baby, we're more than just friends.
I have more definition.
Only
Maybe they're a bit loud. I can dial it down a bit. Yeah, I'm happy. So I hope this demonstration was helpful in showing how to take advantage of StudioVerse chains to get a mix up and running very quickly. Hope you enjoyed the video. Go check it out and see you next time.